So this is Gotthard Pass, climbing the Swiss Alps, and it was the venue for the inaugural European Hill Climb Championships, which took place a few days ago. This video is actually from the day before when we were just spinning up it. Obviously I didn't race with my Fly 6, but it's such a cool climb that I just wanted to kind of show it and talk a bit about the event itself. So the segment is about 12.5 kilometers at 7%, and you climb up to around 2100 meters, so I suppose altitude comes into effect a little bit. And it connects the German-speaking canton of Andermatt in the north and the Italian-speaking Airolo in the south. And yeah, we started from Airolo. And it's got a bit of history behind it. Since the Middle Ages, it was used as a vital trade route between northern and southern Europe. And about half of the climb is preserved cobblestones. They're quite smooth, so they're not like Belgian cobbles. So they're quite nice as far as cobbles go. But they just provide a bit of a bumpy surface still, and you do feel it quite a lot as you're trying to put out power. So the start was just in Airolo, so there was a bit of a run into the climb. This is me setting off. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I just have a real problem with start ramps. And no matter how straight I am, I just like automatically go lurching to the right. Thought I'd lost it here as well, but accomplished it, made it down the ramp, and immediately stood up for way too long. It was actually quite a strong headwind on this lead-in section, and this is kind of the only really flat bit of the climb. For the first time in my life, I was regretting not wearing a skin suit. I think I'm going to start taking aerodynamics a bit more seriously, because at some point it's probably going to come back to bite me and I'll regret not getting the free watts. So immensely this bit was a bit difficult, and I was definitely overcooking it a bit. My power wasn't very high, and it shouldn't have been enough to be overdoing it, but on this day and kind of just how I was feeling, it was a little bit harder than I could sustain. And after about 10 minutes, I wasn't in a great place mentally, because I felt pretty terrible with most of the climb still ahead of me. So I did have to accept that I was going to have to just ease off a bit to try and recover a little bit before the cobble section. Sorry, this is probably really confusing because it sounds like I'm talking about the effort shown in this video, but I'm talking about the race effort. And yeah, this video is me and Joe Reese, who is, by the way, 2023 National Welsh Road Race Champion, who, yeah, I dragged him along. I think he enjoyed it. Did you enjoy it, Joe? So this is just us two riding up it side by side, and I was just complaining the whole time because I had a stomach ache. So I was definitely the worst company in the world, so sorry about that. And I wasn't enjoying the climb as much as I would have liked to, but no worries because we got to ride it again the next day. As a bit of background, basically I was trying to do another Everesting this year. After a bunch of failures, I had to just accept that I wasn't mentally strong enough. Just really did not have any drive to do it, to suffer for like 8 hours. So like a week before this event, I was pretty pissed off with myself and not really motivated to do any kind of cycling. And then I actually signed up for this event on the last day that entries were open. And all of a sudden, fresh new motivation, and I'm so glad I did, because it really just turned out to be the best weekend ever. It was a bit of a spontaneous trip. There wasn't too much time to overthink things, but being at the start line, it was felt really out of place. It was quite scary. And there was a sportive category before the elite categories. Pretty cool to be part of an event where you're just surrounded by people who like racing up a mountain. I really hope that hill climbing kind of grows as a discipline. It'd be great if there was like various UCI events, maybe even like World Champs one day. After about 3 kilometers you hit the first cobbled section, and all these little bits early on are quite short sections. And then the last 5-ish kilometers are sustained cobbles. But these are kind of, little taster of what's to come later on. This is actually a climb I've been aware of for a while, and I remember seeing it and I was kind of like, I don't know, I mean, it's got cobbles. Maybe I don't really want to do it. But I was wrong and it was great, so yeah. When in doubt, just ride the hill anyway. You'll think that these smooth bits between the cobbles would feel nice, but when you know you're going to be back on the bumpy surface soon, I found myself just wanting to get through the flat sections. Yeah, it's a really weird sensation being on like a really smooth road all of a sudden. And the cobbles actually proved to be quite a nice distraction from the pain of the effort. This is the last paved section before you're back on the cobbles. It's quite steep, there's actually a slight downhill. I was like basically freewheeling, trying to save as much energy. So the road was closed to traffic on the day, which made taking the corners a lot easier. Still probably a bit overly hesitant, even though I had like pretty grippy tires on. I kind of decided to play it safe rather than go for ultra lightweight stuff. Not just because of the cobbles, but just in general, it'd be a real shame to come all that way and then end up puncturing. And they're not really slippery or anything, but standing up it feels like you're wasting a lot of power because your wheel does bounce around quite a bit. In the race, I was actually thrilled to get back on the cobbles. They provide a nice distraction from the pain. I was able to kind of recover a bit and get into a good rhythm. I really hadn't been pushing as hard as I was hoping to, but I think I picked it up a bit on this bit. And the views are just, yeah, they speak for themselves really. It's just a truly amazing road to ride on, and unlike any other. There goes Joe finding the best line. Riding in the gutters is a good option if you can ride in a straight line, which I didn't do. This is the old road, and you can see the new road, which is pretty busy with cars crossing over this one every now and then. And there's also a lot of railway tunnels about, including one that's actually the longest and deepest in the world. I also found it a bit easier as we climbed higher, although there was maybe a bit of altitude to deal with. The slightly cooler temperatures were welcome. The day we were riding here, it was actually pretty overcast and yeah, not too hot at all. But the following day, the sun was fully out. Still definitely preferable to wet conditions though, so can't complain too much. This is the finishing stretch, which is where the finish line was, and there's a few small lakes at the summit. Yeah, pretty cool area, and great raclettes. And here are a few photos I took of Joe finishing. I wasn't thrilled with my effort. It certainly wasn't a perfectly executed race, but I think a lot of people were in the same situation. I could rattle off loads of reasons, you know, travel, heat, altitude, but at the end of the day, it was still a really hard effort and definitely the best I could have done then, so you can't not be happy with that. I think next year's European Champs are scheduled to be in the same place, so I really want to come back and ride other climbs in the area because there's so many around, and yeah, it was just absolutely amazing. First time in Switzerland, did not disappoint. thanks for watching. Sorry this was a lot of incoherent blabbering. But yeah, what a great weekend.